There was a play that looked like a screen to Dalvin Cook, where Cousins then turned and threw to the right sideline and found Thielen. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Is that an improvised play? I guess that's what I'm getting at.
We had no linemen downfield on that play. Yeah, that was improvised. A great play by those guys, but certainly not the intent.
Can you see stuff like that in the skybox and relay it in real time, or does that have to be like discovered on film and then implemented later? Like Thielen didn't run a route there. It looked like he just found a spot that was open. Can you relay that? Like, can you be like, hey, there's receivers open on the other side of the field. They don't when we run screens.
No, I mean, yeah. If you happen to see a play, after the fact, and say, hey, like maybe we could get to something, that we have in. Generally, we try not to make up a whole lot, because we've put in a plan and we've prepared, and the guys are kind of ready for stuff. There's certain stuff we might add if we've got a lot of history with something, but we're usually not drawing up, plays in the sand, so to speak. But that was just something that usually you probably get called for a penalty there, but we just happened to not be too far downfield, so we got a little lucky there.
Wes, what's your take on the Cowboys' run defense? I mean, obviously that's been a big topic of conversation, certainly in Dallas after they gave up all those yards on Sunday to the Packers.
Yeah, I think they've given up some rush yards. I know that, certainly after the last 2 weeks, they're going to be in there saying, hey, we've got to shore this up. I mean, that's usually how it works. And, we expect them to come out and play physical and play the run. I know that Durant Armstrong, DeMarcus Lawrence, I know those guys are not just really good pass rushers. They're also have been very difficult over the years in the run game as well. They play really hard. Their whole defense, I think they're going to be ready to shore up, some areas that maybe they've had a little bit of struggle in, and we're ready for their best shot.
Wes, we were talking to Kirk yesterday a little bit about his preference for using wristbands or not. Like, he did it sort of dependent for him on coordinator or play caller preference and getting to play in that whole thing. I guess what's your experience been in working with quarterbacks and how effective that can be, or whether that can be more of a nuisance?
Yeah, some of it's been coaches I've been around. I've worked with guys that, as play callers, didn't believe in a wristband. They felt like, they didn't want the quarterback stepping in the huddle like this to the group, looking guys in the eyes and having them see him communicate the play was important to certain play callers that I've been around. I can't really. If it were the best thing to do, then he might. But I can't really imagine Sean McVay saying, "Hey, wristband 26." He's got that call sheet up in his head, memorized. So. He likes to spout those things off, but yeah, if it's something the quarterback prefers, and there are some very lengthy calls within every offense, but I think particularly if you're trying to, what we call can a lot of plays, one call, two plays in the huddle. I mean, you talk about verbiage like we kind of commend Kirk, or we did with Matthew Stafford, like after he gets the play call out at times with certain calls, hey, great job. Before the play even starts, we're saying, hey, great call. But I think they understand that the reason why there's that much verbiage on some of those calls is we're trying to get them in premier looks and really attack, the best parts of the defense with the right plays.
Were you aware of the technique of memorizing the calls that Nick Mullins suggested to him? He basically recorded all the playbook on his phone and listened to it on the drive home. So.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that that's what Nick Mullins is doing on his drives home. I'm probably listening to some music or a podcast or something when I get out of this office, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
What has impressed you most about TJ and how he's just inserted himself not only into the play but with his teammates and getting into the flow?
Really, he's a ball guy. He's a football guy. He's an Iowa guy. You can just tell he loves the game. He's got a real good way about him. He's got a good feel for the game, for angles, for how to work edges on guys in the pass game. Stick his foot in the ground, be friendly to the quarterback as far as giving indicators when he's about to break and kind of coming out of the routes at friendly angles. And then when the ball's in the air, even when it's been hanging, last week we had a couple balls down the field that a couple plays we didn't end up getting called, but where he was able to, the ball may have been thrown a little bit behind him or underthrown a little bit, and he was able to just naturally come back to the ball. Kind of big body guys, take it off the top shelf, as Eric Yarber used to say, where the kids can't get it. So he just got a good feel for the game, and he's into it. He wants to be great, and it really shows.
Wes, I think you guys talked a little bit earlier this year about kind of working on some pocket presence stuff with Kirk. Some of the throws he made Sunday where he's evading defenders in the pocket, I think like the one to KJ towards the end of the game. How have you seen him develop in that aspect of his game, and what are those types of throws kind of show you?
Yeah, I don't know that I'd ever, I think it's a continuous process with a quarterback. I don't know that I'd ever say that Kirk was ever poor moving within the pocket. It's a lot about just continuing to develop those skills, and because the pockets are going to be muddy, they're going to be tight. You're going to have to throw off different platforms. You're going to have to throw backing up, move into one side or the other. You're going to have to change arm angles to throw around guys. So, these guys have a lot of challenging positions. That's why it's hard to play quarterback in this league. You can throw 7-on-7 and you can look great in shorts, but the rush is real, and Kirk's got a good time clock in his head. He knows when he's got to get it out, and he knows, I think, when he can kind of buy a little bit more time, slide to the right or left, step up in the pocket, and then we've seen that he can actually escape and make a few first downs with his feet as well, which have been really, really big this year.
How have you, contextualized what Justin Jefferson has done recently?
He's just a special player, special individual, wants to be the best, he believes he's the best. It's a small group in that conversation, whoever is the best. I'm not going to be the one to, I appreciate all these guys that are in that conversation as far as how they play. But he works at it. He's extremely competitive, and he's got a skill set. Sometimes it's hard when you're that talented to have that kind of drive, and so that's where I give him a lot of credit. And he's got a ton of confidence that he's going to go out and make plays, whatever the situation is, and he's done it thus far. So we're going to try to get him the ball still.
What additional problems can Dallas create with the way they use Parsons?
You just have to be aware of great players, whoever that might be, where they are. But if they're only a rusher, then, you're kind of finding them on the line of scrimmage all the time. And now he can be off the ball. He's capable of covering. You can say, hey, we'll go to him no matter where he's at. But then they'll also rush, Anthony Barr or Van Der Esch, and now your back's on a guy who's, 6'4" and 255 pounds. So there's challenges to the other matchups as well when you're saying, hey, we got to account for this guy. And now they can put in 4 true defensive linemen, with him, really, you've got 5 guys. They're creating some sort of one-on-one. They like to bring 5-man pressures or align 5 guys on the line. They have a lot of movement. They have a lot of picks. And they're very athletic, so they get there fast. So it's going to be a real challenge for us, for our technique, for our eyes and our pass sets. Handling all the movement and also locating where Parsons is. But I think you talk about him, but I think just scheme in general. I think DeMarcus has 5 sacks, and I think Armstrong has 5 sacks, and Fowler's got 4, I believe, and Sam Williams has 3, I think, and the safety 6. He's got 3 sacks. I think he leads their team in tackles. I think he's got 1 more than Van Der Esch, which is pretty rare for a strong safety. They've got a lot of good players over there, so it's challenging to break these guys down, to figure out, try to figure out the plan to pick up all their different packages. But by the end of the week, I think we'll feel pretty good about it.
Wes, what did Blake do particularly well filling in for Darrisaw when he went out after you reviewed the film?
Well, he just stepped in, and it was like, obviously Christian's an extremely talented and really good left tackle in this league, but he stepped in and you didn't feel like there was, we got to slide everything to him and we've got to just change our plan. We were able to plug him in and play offense, and that's ultimately what you're looking for from a guy who's playing a swing tackle type position, and even taking reps at guard, and even when Garrett was a little banged up, was preparing as potentially a backup center as well. So Blake's got a lot of value. Sometimes these guys who haven't played a lot, this was his first real playing time on the offensive line. He's played some kind of extra tight end stuff last year, but sometimes they don't even realize kind of what they did. They just go in there, and Blake, after the game said, I said, hey, great job, man. Von Miller, man, and he was like, yeah, it was awesome. He smiles. It was awesome. He had a great time. Didn't even realize, kind of this guy's had 100+ sacks over here, and came in and did a great job. So, but it should definitely help his confidence going forward.
Yes, in terms of JJ, it's rare when you have a guy that's in that small conversation that's also willing to throw a block like he did on Dalvin's touchdown and to sacrifice his body. In your experience, have you seen that many players of that quality that's willing to do that?
I have not seen that many. I did work with a receiver one time. I won't name names, but one of the coaches said, blocking is about want to. It's about want to, and he said it is about want to. He said, and I don't want to. So it is unique, but I think JJ has enough awareness. Number one of it's important. It's important for us to be able to run the football. He's competitive, and he has enough care for Dalvin Cook or Alex Madison or these guys that are running the football to know that these can be big plays for them as well. And it was really good scheme by really our run game coordinator Modkins and our offensive line coach, just to get to that play at that time when they were kind of late to rotate down to a cover 3. So we kind of had angles on the offensive line, and that was the key block right there to spring him. And he really had good technique as well. You say sacrifice your body, but he came in, he bent, he used his hands, and the technique on top of just the willingness was impressive.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Wes.
Thanks.